Hey guys, my name is Jesse. Welcome to my channel where all I talk about is domain format. If you don't know what domain format is, I have a handy dandy playlist up here you can watch. It has my how to play video, tools and resources available to you, and a video going over concepts that maybe you have not thought about if you are unfamiliar with domain format, but will help you out getting into domain format. So check that out if you'd like to get caught up. For my returning viewers, thank you so much for showing up. Always happy to have you back. As I'm sure most of you are aware, Yugi boomers everywhere are rejoicing over the wonderful news of the new Blue Eyes structure deck. And since I got my hands on some of these decks, we're going to be going over the contents, kind of brainstorm building the deck for domain format with the structure deck, because I think structure decks are a really good way of getting into the format. This structure deck is pretty unique in that it's quite good, has quite a lot of good cards inside of it. So we're gonna be checking it out along with the original structure deck. I figured there's probably still some gems in here we can add into whatever domain deck we're gonna be trying to build. So why not? And then lastly, I want you guys to stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to be doing a giveaway. It's going to be related to all the contents we're looking at, plus a cool playmat that has Blue Eyes art on it. If you want to get more details, stick around to the end. Before we get started, if you like what I do, there's a few ways you can support me. If you watch this video and you end up wanting to buying singles for whatever domain decks you're about to build, I'd very much appreciate it if you use my TCG link down below. That lets TCG player know that I sent you, gives me a kickback and no extra cost to you whatsoever. You can subscribe to me on Twitch and YouTube. I live stream. I love it when people stop by, so if you feel like if you'd like to ask me any questions, that's a really good time to ask me questions about domain or whatever, or anything else really. Also, I have a store, also in my link tree down below. You can get your hands on a couple of mats that I have available there and some hoodies with my YouTube logo on it. But the best thing you can do is totally free. You can just like the video, share it with your Yugi Boomer buddies who want to build Blue Eyes for domain format. It helps out a ton. It's how YouTube assesses whether or not to share my content with more people, and the more people who learn about domain format, the better. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So just so you know, that mat that I mentioned that's going to be in the giveaway at the end is going to look like this. It's got Blue Dragon Summoner summoning a Blue Eyes White Dragon, very fitting my my channel mascot, if you will. So we got some decks to go over, huh? Let's go ahead and get the old one out of the way, since we're not going to be talking about it a whole lot. Everybody, if you bought this before, you already know what's in it. The old deluxe mat, as it says on the box. No EMZs, man. Can't even use this anymore. Boom. Let's take a look at what's inside. I am not 100% sure. I can't really. I could have looked on the box, but. All right. Go and go this pretty quick. There's already both Blue Eyes and Yugioh in the other deck. Pretty sure it also has a Maiden with Eyes of Blue, Dragon Shrine, a Rabid Dragon, in case you need more level 8 normal dragons, Alexandrite, Luster. This is pretty useful actually. Old Gemini monsters. Oh gosh. Okay, this is if this isn't in the other structure deck, that's actually useful. Kaiba Man. Herald of Creation, Old Kaiser, Honest, that's pretty good. We could use that. Possibly Shining Angel, Burst Stream, Stamina Destruction, Wing Beat, Trade In, Cards of Consonance, White Elephant's Gift, 1 for 1, that's good. Monster Born, that's good. Tactics, Soul Exchange, Enemy Controller, Phoenix Chain, Kunai, Damage Condenser, I don't even know what this does. Interesting, not terrible. Call the Haunted, Compulsory, Champion's Vigilance, Rider, Kaiser Glider, Periatic, Cry, Swords, that's pretty good. Dragon Souls, and then some ads. Okay, well, interesting that the pre-con only comes with one Blue Eyes White Dragon, but so that's the old one. In case you didn't know what was in there. Okay, let's get to the good stuff. The new and improved Blue Eyes deck. So in case you didn't know, this structure deck comes with a higher rarity pack, which has one card from the structure deck, and it has a chance of being QCR, so we just got a secret, which is for Eyes of Blue. And then I think it's kind of funny, this goes to show how much they've reduced paper waste, because there's quite literally nothing in there but the deck. Which is fine, because it's like, who ended up using those mats anyway and stuff. So I'm not going to stop and go over each and every single card, because this has been out for a few days now. We're just going to kind of take a look and go over it. Indigo, Silver Eyes Dragon, New Xyz, Spirit with Eyes of Blue, Amazing Link Monster, Maiden of White, which is Eyes of Blue, Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon, Neo Kaiser Seahorse. These are all new cards. Roar the Blue-Eyed Dragons. Majesty of the White Dragons. And then Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes. Pretty cool that you get 3 different arts, so in your domain deck you can really pick whichever one you like the most. Alternative. Jet Dragon as a common, nuts. Card is so good. Abyss Dragon, Spirit of White, Chaos Max, Chaos, Whitestone Legend, Whitestone of Ancients, Sage, Master, Dictator of D, Nibiru, that's a good hand trap. Ash, great hand trap. Effect Veiler, Chaos Form, Ultimate Fusion, the Melody of Awakening Dragon, Mausoleum of White, Burst Stream, Trade-In, Called By, True Light, Ultimate Creature Destruction, Destined Rivals, Imperm, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, Neo, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, Twin Burst, Tyrant Dragon, very easy to summon now, Spirit Dragon, Silver Dragon, Heriatic Seals, Great Link, Support, and then the ads. Okay, so first things first, I kind of want to talk about what could possibly be a Deckmaster from these 2 decks that I have here. And I think there's strengths to picking any of these, honestly, as a Deckmaster. Stone of the White Ancients wouldn't be bad. It gives you access to Light and Dragon. Obviously, totally gives you access to everything that's revealed in these decks for the most part. And the benefit of this being that you can normal summon this, link summon into this, and during the end phase you can summon any Blue Eyes monster from your deck. It doesn't have to be Blue Eyes White Dragon specifically. There's quite a few Blue Eyes monsters you could summon, mainly being Blue Eyes Jet Dragon and Blue Eyes Abyss Dragon. Abyss Dragon would be really good to go into the Chaos Max stuff, and Jet Dragon is just a menace as soon as it starts entering the field from the graveyard. And then also, while it's in your graveyard, you can banish it, get any Blue Eyes monster, Blue Eyes, not just Blue Eyes White Dragon, back from your graveyard back to your hand. And when you banish it, you'd be able to put it back into the Deckmaster zone to be played again. Honestly, not too shabby. I think though, you could also pick Spirit with Eyes of Blue. It being a light dragon, kind of same deal with the tuner. Super easy to summon. It takes a dragon or spellcaster monster, not hard to do whatsoever. And you can tribute this to special a Blue Eyes monster from your hand or graveyard. But if it's an effect monster, its effects are negated. And after tributing it, you could put it back in the Deckmaster zone to be used again. I don't think it's as necessary to play this as the Deckmaster though, because there are ways to just put it back into your extra deck from the graveyard. Aside from the White Stone, I think that Maiden of White, the new Maiden of White from the new structure deck, would probably be the best choice for Deckmaster, at least from the pool of cards that we have available to us. There's a pretty consistent combo you can do with her as the Deckmaster too. You could summon her, link summon this guy, activate his effect, get the Mausoleum, activate the Mausoleum, targeting this to send a Blue Eyes White Dragon to your graveyard, send this to the graveyard, give this a buff, tribute this to special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your graveyard. You would special this. When this is special, this would activate in the graveyard to be specialed. Then you could activate this in the field and send it to the graveyard to place a True Light into play. And then you can go from there. This also lets you normal summon another light level 1 tuner, which there's many in the deck. For instance, this can let you set anything that mentions a Blue Eyes, which can include this. So you can set this normal spell, activate it because it's a normal spell, discard a card, go get another level 1 light tuner from the deck, which you can normal summon, and then make synchro plays from there. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and go forward and assume that Maiden of White's going to be the Deckmaster. Now, honestly, after looking over both of the structure decks and setting aside the playable cards, with Maiden of White as Deckmaster, there's like 43 cards that are playable here. But, not gonna lie. You could sleeve up these 43 cards, finish off the deck with another 17 or whatever. Legitimately, you'd have something that's pretty functional as a Blue Eyes White Dragon domain deck, even with the lone single Blue Eyes White Dragon. I did end up pulling some cards out because a lot of people have some questions about how to have the deck function when they're under the assumption that the deck needs multiple copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon to function. They think, without 3 Blue Eyes, you can't summon Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, right? I don't want to say you're wrong, but you're wrong. So, some of the ways we can get by in the deck without having 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon. Well, first off, I'm going to say this is pretty easy to summon. All it takes is, this isn't included in the structure deck, but I will include in my giveaway this Dragon Master Knight. And if you look closely, he lists Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon as fusion material. What if I told you this is a 1-card Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon? Reveal a fusion monster in your extra deck, the Dragon Master Knight. Special summon one of the fusion materials whose name is mentioned on that monster from your extra deck or graveyard, but until the end of your opponent's turn, it can't attack and its effects, if any, are negated. Activate this, reveal the Dragon Master Knight, special summon this. It's free real estate. So there's that. And then another way to get around the whole multiple copies thing. Summoning Twin Burst isn't too hard. You could have regular Blue Eyes in play. Alternative Dragon counts as Blue Eyes while in play. So there's 2 Blue Eyes right there for him. And something that's probably a little bit easier is you could use fusion substitutes. For example, Light, Hex Sealed Fusion. He can be used as a substitute for any named monster on a fusion. Either Blue Eyes Alternative or Blue Eyes plus this means you could summon Twin Burst pretty easily, and then all 3 of those could make Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Is that simple? Is it easy? Not exactly, but it is still doable. So that was the first thing I wanted to get out of the way about playing the deck. It does still function even without 3 Blue Eyes. And then another aspect of the deck, I showed you already, but Mausoleum of White is probably going to be pretty integral to your play patterns. So terraforming is probably something you're going to want to play on top of, even though it's not necessary because of his effect to just put it into your hand or graveyard. But once you have it in play, if it ends up getting removed, you're probably going to want a way to get it back. So this is where my handy dandy multi-universe comes into play. This can take any field spell from the graveyard or banish, place it back up into your field spell zone. And then while this is in the graveyard, if your field spell would get destroyed, you can banish this instead. So it gets back and protects your Mausoleum. But just in case Mausoleum gets taken care of, we're going to go ahead and throw in Fusion Recycling Plant. I think this card's great. It can help you make those fusions. And I'm going to throw in a little spicy pick for the deck. Mysterion, the Dragon Crown. He takes a Spellcaster and a Dragon, if it'll... There we go. Now, he loses attack for every banished card, but he does have an interesting effect. If a monster uses its activated effect to special summon itself or a monster with the same original type, you can target one of those special summon monsters, banish all monsters, or sorry, banish that monster, also banish all monsters on the field with its same original type. So, for instance, this is kind of a bad example, but if your opponent activates Bestial to summon itself, while he is in play, you could activate Mysterion, banish the Bestial they just summoned, and then banish all dragons in play. Again, bad example because we're playing Blue Eyes, but obviously there's a lot of things that end up special summoning themselves, and he's a great answer for decks that, you know, swarm the field with one type of monster. For instance, you know, let's say somebody's playing Fiends. I don't know. They're playing a Labyrinth Fiendsmith Unchained deck. There you go. Banish all their Fiends. They're not going to like that. These were cards I thought would be good in the deck. There wasn't a Bingo Machine Go, so there's one for you. Spell card Soul Exchange. This will help you tribute your opponent's monsters to tribute summon a monster from your hand. The cool thing about this card is you can normal summon and then activate this and still do a tribute summon. It's really, really good. Now, the deck already has some hand traps included. There's Called By, Imperm, Effect Veiler, Nibiru, and Honest. Pretty good start for a suite of hand traps, but I have some that I pulled out. In case you want to run some more, you can add these if you would like. They might be good options. First up is Ceravis. If they end up targeting your a monster you control with any card effect, you can discard this and negate that effect. I like Forbidden Chalice. It's kind of like an anti-negate, you know? If they got Barone in play, and this is in your hand, you can play through that Barone without worrying about it. Bahalutia, I think that's how you say this. You can tribute summon this by tributing an effect monster. If your opponent searches during the main and they add a card to their hand, immediately after this effect resolves, you can tribute summon this card. And then if it's normal specialed, you can make your opponent banish the top cards of their deck face down, equal to the number of cards in their hand. Then they shuffle their hand in their deck, and then they add the banished cards to their hand. So they activate something to add something to their hand. While this is in your hand, you can tribute one of your effect monsters, summon this, make them basically shuffle their hand into their deck and get a new hand. You can especially make this pretty useful if they only have a few cards in hand anyway. Like if they have a hand of 5 and they add one to hand, making them draw a whole new 6 cards is, you know, not going to be all that great. But if they only got 1 or 2 cards in hand and they add something and then you summon this, it gets rid of the 1 card they search for. They only draw 2 or 3 cards. At the very worst, it completely changes how their turn's going to play out, right? Because Maiden of White's a spellcaster, we can play Duel. Because Maiden of White is light, we can play Ogre. And this is one of my recent favorites, Mahama the Fairy Dragon. During your opponent's turn, when either player takes battle damage, you can special summon this card and then apply one of these effects. You can gain life points equal to that battle damage or inflict damage to your opponent equal to that battle damage. Typically in a 1v1 setting, this means that while you take a hit, gain that life points back, or deal it back to them like a magic cylinder type effect. In Domain, there's more than 2 players. So for instance, if I'm player 1 and I pass it over to player 2, and let's say we're past the first turn, so player 2 can attack. If player 2 attacks player 3, I could summon this and just gain the amount of life points that they took, or dish that damage to the person attacking. It's a lot more useful in Domain. I like it quite a bit. It's interesting to say the least. And then obviously in Domain, board breakers are pretty important. The structures don't actually come with many, so I pulled these aside, and hopefully these will help out with whoever wins the mysterious giveaway at the end of this. Any deck can play Divine Monsters, so Winged Dragon or Raw Sphere mode can tribute 3 of your opponent's monsters and just get them out of the way. Dark Ruler No More, Droplet, Book of Eclipse, Giant Trunade, Heavy Storm, Dark Hole, Raigeki, Lightning Storm, Snatch Steel, and Evenly Matched. These are just the first things I thought of when trying to include some board breakers. One other board breaker I've been coming to like a lot is Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. And to help Link climb into that, you could play Lina, steal somebody else's light monsters from the graveyard. And then I just set aside some stuff that I think were, pretty interesting in Domain format that maybe somebody could use. Or maybe these will give you some ideas. I'm obsessed with shuffling cards back from my graveyard or banished back into my deck. So for that, we have Slash Draw. And to all you Farfa viewers who thought it was funny to make fun of us for playing Slash Draw in Domain because we can't draw another Slash Draw, that's not why we played your Slash Draw. We play Slash Draw because I can shuffle back cards in our graveyard. Well, for a lot of reasons. One, we can discard a brick out of our hand to get it back into our deck. It does draw a card, and you mill cards equals the number of cards an opponent controls. So let's say, 3 or 4. When milling those cards, you can end up triggering quite a lot of effects. And then you reveal the card you draw. If it's not Slash Draw, you don't do any damage to them, but you do shuffle back 4 cards, or however many you milled. And it doesn't have to be the cards you milled, but any cards you choose back into your deck. That is why we play Slash Draw. Slash Draw is pretty crazy in that regard for recycling your resources. I love this card. Pot of Avarice, for the same reason, you can shuffle back 5 monsters from your graveyard to draw 2. For the most part, you'll most likely be shuffling back a lot of extra deck monsters to try and resummon them. This card's pretty funny, and I'm just including it because I've played this card. It's great. You pick an opponent, they can discard a card to negate the effect. Otherwise, each player looks at their opponent's deck, chooses a card, then add the card from their own deck chosen by their opponent to their hand. So what happens is each player ends up doing this. You look at your opponent in turn order's deck, choose 1 card, then all the cards that were chosen get added to their owner's hand. It's a very funny card, very political. Things can get wacky when you play this. Card of Fate, similarly, pretty wacky card you can play in Domain. Each player chooses a card from their deck. Then each player combines it with 4 additional random cards chosen from their deck by their opponent. Then randomly selects one of those 5 cards to reveal and add to their hand. Shuffle the rest back into the decks. So you look through your deck, you pick 1 card. 4 more random cards are also picked from your deck, and they're all shuffled face down. Then everybody picks 1 of the 5 cards randomly to add to their hand. So you essentially have a 1 in 5 chance to add a specific card from your deck. But either way, you can kind of just view this as each player draws 1 card type of thing. Not too shabby. It's pretty fun. It's technically going even for you and giving free advantage to your opponents, but it's a fun card. Personally, I think you got to run some life gain in Domain. Child's Play is great for that. It can gain you a ton of life. Each time your opponent summons a monster, doesn't matter if it's special or normal or flip, you gain 300 life points. Then while you have 10k or more, your monsters can't be destroyed by battle. Really, no Domain deck is complete without 2 of the most popular draw spells. Sorry, I'm getting terrible glare. Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity. Throw those into the pile because they're good. Did you know this card can search for Pot of Greed? If your opponent has a Pot of Greed in their graveyard, so what it does is target 1 card in your opponent's graveyard, banish it, then you can add 1 card from your deck to your hand with the same name as that banished card. So if your opponent activates Graceful Charity, you can search for Graceful Charity. If they activate Pot of Greed, you can search for Pot of Greed. At worst, this can be used to get rid of a pesky card in their graveyard that you don't want them to get back. Let's say in our deck, Jet Dragon. Your opponent could just activate this, get rid of your Jet Dragon, and not have to deal with it anymore. I will say if you want to go in a less budget restrictive way to build a deck, obviously you could add the Primite cards. If you're not aware, Primite is an archetype that works with their Earth Dragons. So I guess on top of that, you'd have to pick a different deck master because this gives you access to light spellcasters. You could swap out the deck master with Spirit Eyes of Blue in order to play any light monsters and or dragons. Sorry, it also mentioned spellcasters, so you would just gain access to more cards in the domain if you pick this as the deck master. The Primate cards work with normal monsters. You can name any normal monster, and that's how their effects work. So you could pick Blue Eyes White Dragon, summon Blue Eyes White Dragon. You could name the level 1 tuner in here, Flamveil Guard. You have quite a lot of options with the Primate cards. The Primate cards are also good because a lot of them recycle themselves. They add them back to your hand if you have normal monsters in your graveyard or Primate monsters in play. The only problem is the continuous spell is like $100 last time I looked. You can still, and I think Barrel is like $20 or $30. It's definitely not cheap. This is more budget oriented. All of these cards altogether are not all that much. If you want to look at a very well together put budget deck with using the structure deck as a base, there's a user in the Discord, he goes by the name of Pizza, and he's a wonderful, very skilled deck builder in my opinion, and has a very cool deck. I will link it down below. You can check it out there, but it incorporates a lot of the Chaos Dragon stuff to facilitate level 8 Synchro or Xyz plays, on top of everything that's already in, you know, the new structure deck. There's a lot of ways you could go about playing Blue Eyes, to be completely honest. There's not just one way. The structure deck's a great start. If you want any help with building Blue Eyes, like you want to incorporate a different archetype that I didn't mention or anything like that, you can go in the Discord. People are more than happy to help. There's domain deck lists on YGOProDeck.com. You can check those out too. This is a wonderful product. I would definitely recommend it in case if anybody's interested in playing Blue Eyes in Domain. So with all of that said, I want to take this opportunity to tell you guys about a giveaway that I would like to do. So allow me to tell you about that. In an attempt to help somebody, one of you, my loyal viewers, build this for yourself, I will be offering the new structure deck along with the old structure deck in a single giveaway on top of all the singles that I mentioned and I showed off that were not part of the deck, but I was recommending. And since you're gonna be playing a super cool new Blue Eyes deck, you're gonna need a Blue Eyes playmat. So I will also throw in this super awesome mega package, my Blue Eyes themed playmat. It won't be this one specifically. It will be this art. It will have my logo here. It'll have the domain logo in the corner. It will be this art, but it will be a physically different mat that has the zones also on it. This one does not have zones, but the one you'll be receiving does have zones. So if that sounds at all interesting to you, please join my personal Discord. I'm not trying to steer people away from the main Discord. If you're not in the main Discord, please join that one first. The only reason I'm saying join mine personally is because that's where I do my giveaways. And the only person who can be held accountable for anything I'm saying now is me. I don't want the domain Discord to be implicated in that or think people that, you know, they're responsible in case anything goes wrong. I'm just saying in case anything goes wrong. If you want more details on that giveaway, it will be in my personal Discord. The personal Discord will be linked down below. And I do have to stress this. I'm very sorry to everybody outside the US, but I will only be shipping to the United States or Canada. My last giveaway, like half the packages went out across the world and it was a little spendy. So USA, Canada only. Just want to do that as a little thank you for everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. This is an amazing structure deck. Great start for a domain deck. I really wish Konami would make more structure decks, to be honest. It's been a while since we had this. The last one was like Fire King. But with that said, I want to know what you guys think. What archetypes or cards were you thinking about playing in Domain with the new Blue Eyes stuff? Is there anything you guys would like me to go over? Are there any decks you would like to see profiles of? I'm still working on a game that's still in the works. I don't know exactly when that'll be out, but that's the next video I'm working on. So again, thank you guys for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you.